I'm the best friend destined to have a falling out with the overpowered protagonist, the one who comforted him when he was weak and walked away the moment he became strong. This is the classic tragedy of being gay for a straight guy. My new partner quipped, slinging an arm over my shoulder right under the protagonist's murderous glare. Until one day, sick of being cornered by him, I finally snapped at the dense Jock overlord. Either stop bothering me, or we deep bond. Your choice, one. Everyone knew I was leaving except for Orion. 3 days ago, when the Academy's administration requested that Orion and I dissolve our partnership bond, no one thought I would agree. After all, Orion had just had his bloodline awakening, skyrocketing from a B-rank sentinel to an SSS rank. He'd even been acknowledged by the Marshal as his heir. His future was blindingly bright. This was the time to be sucking up to him, not walking away. Who in their right mind would abandon the wealth and status that were practically in their grasp, all because of a request they could have easily refused? What's more, I had been by his side before his awakening. When he was being suppressed by the nobles, at his lowest and most difficult point, I never cut ties with him. Yet, now that everything was looking up, I picked a huge fight with him and made a clean break. They didn't understand, but they all tacitly kept Orion in the dark. The Academy forums were buzzing, with several mega threads dedicated to the topic. The longest one was titled, "Latest News, That Guy Agreed to the Academy's Request. He really agreed. I don't get it. You and me both." Orion went from B rank to SSS rank, not the other way around, right? Wasn't it you guys who were mocking him to his face, saying a B rank guide wasn't good enough for an SSS rank? Well, he's not. We weren't wrong. What was Orion's reaction? He doesn't know yet. That guy didn't tell him, so what about the Inter-Academy Championship in 2 weeks? Doesn't it require 2-person teams? I just saw Orion invite that guy to team up. That guy refused. They got into a fight. Whoa, Orion was demanding to know why he wouldn't compete with him, asking, "Aren't I your best friend?" And what did that guy say? He just went silent. Orion started asking if he has other good friends, asking who this other person is. That guy just dropped the "we're not friends anymore" bomb. Wow, first time I've seen that look on Orion's face. He looks like he's about to shatter. Why does their friendship breakup look exactly like a real breakup? Watch it, you'll attract the fanfic writers from the other board. What's there to be afraid of? They're probably too busy crying their eyes out over there. That guy is leaving today, right? Does Orion still not know they've been unbonded? Probably not. I saw him still blowing off steam in the training grounds, looking furious. I'm so jealous. There must be at least a dozen S-rank upperclassmen and underclassmen waiting outside, ready to ask him to be their partner. Latest update. The Academy announced that an SSS rank guide is transferring here tomorrow, and it's the Imperial Princess from the neighboring empire. SSS rank. Nice, nice. Here comes the perfect match. I switched off my terminal and walked out of the Academy gates. I became aware of the plot the moment I received the Academy's request. In the story, Orion is the overpowered protagonist on a path of comeback and revenge, and I am his best friend, destined to betray him. In the original plot, I didn't break things off with him this early. Instead, I joined him in the Inter-Academy Championship. During the competition, with my B-rank psionic power, I couldn't properly sync with the now SSS rank Orion. He ended up losing when he was just one step away from the championship, and I lost my psionic abilities. Later, Orion bonded with another SSS rank guide and won the title the following year. As for me, I buckled under the weight of ever-increasing insults. My mind twisted, and I started targeting Orion at every turn. In the end, after I harmed the SSS rank guide he loved, Orion had me permanently imprisoned on a barren planet. I didn't want that ending for myself, nor did I want to make a pathetic exit after dragging Orion down. So, the moment the Academy sent me that message, I agreed to their request. Since the outcome was already written, it was better for me to let go now than to be cast aside by him after losing my powers. My terminal chimed again. It was a message from the new Sentinel the Academy had matched me with. The Academy would find Orion a more suitable guide, and they would let me choose a new Sentinel partner as well. Or rather, it was precisely because a more suitable guide for Orion had appeared that the Academy made the request of me in the first place. I looked at the Sentinel's request to meet up on the screen and replied with a simple, "Okay." 2. During a break in combat, Orion once again unconsciously opened his terminal. His message list was flooded with notifications. There were messages from relatives in the family that had just taken him back, from the dean and fellow students at the academy, from upperclassmen and underclassmen trying to add him as a friend. But the pinned chat at the very top remained stubbornly empty. This was the 4th day he had been sulking, and Stellan still hadn't come to smooth things over. He hadn't even sent a single message. The mood to check any other messages vanished instantly. He put away his terminal, his face a cold mask. "Senior Vance, the principal wants to see you," a boy wearing a student council pin shouted from a distance. Orion sheathed his vibro knife and turned to leave. The other sentinels, who were already keeping their distance due to his oppressive aura, retreated even further. But behind the fear and awe in their eyes, there was a secret flicker of anticipation. And most of them were looking down at their own terminals. FYI, the principal just called Orion out of the training grounds. "I'll bet 100 credits it's about switching guides. I'll bet 500. I just saw the Imperial Princess go into the principal's office. I'm going all in." That guy submitted his new bonding application this morning with his new sentinel. It was just approved. That fast, just waiting to see Orion's reaction when he hears. Waiting. Holy crap, what was that noise? Did Orion just blow up the principal's office? I dunno, can't see inside. All I know is every instructor from the combat division is rushing to the administration building. Oh no, Orion just stormed out of the principal's office. Security and a dozen instructors couldn't stop him. I was in the middle of my first psionic link with Leo when Orion found me. A sleek leopard was extending a paw towards a snow-white lion cat. The white lion cat circled the leopard leisurely, then lifted its own front paw, about to place it on the leopard's pad. Suddenly, a black dragon burst in and snatched the white cat away. Emro, the white lion cat, dangling from the dragon's mouth, cried out to me. I quickly took a few steps forward, trying to rescue my spirit animal from the dragon's jaws. Let go! Before I could grab my cat back, the door to the sealed training room was kicked open with a loud bang. I flinched in surprise. The hand that was reaching for my cat's paw was suddenly seized in a brutal grip. Explain. Orion's face was cold as he got right in front of me, his voice seething with rage. I avoided his questioning gaze, looking down as I tried to pull my hand free. What's this about a bond dissolution request, Stellan? Don't you have anything to explain? Orion grabbed my shoulder with his other hand, leaning down to force me to meet his eyes. There's nothing to say. We're not friends anymore, I said softly, my lips pressed into a thin line. Why, I don't agree. Orion's fingers tightened, his glare piercing. I don't accept this. Hey, buddy, the man said you're done. Stop being so clingy, Leo said, stepping forward like a true friend to try and rescue me. He stood beside me and gave Orion a provocative smile. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm his new sentinel. And his partner for the Inter-Academy Championship. The blazing fury in Orion's eyes morphed into icy killing intent. His glacial gaze swept over Leo before returning to my face. Is this why you won't compete with me? I remained silent. My tacit agreement enraged him further. It was as if Orion was thrown back to that time when everyone had abandoned and betrayed him, when no one believed in him. But even then, I had always been there by his side. I was the one who said I would never leave him. After so many betrayals, I was the only one he trusted. Taking advantage of his momentary lapse, I finally wrenched my hand free and pushed his face away. You should go, I said softly. Even you. Orion's eyes were red-rimmed. He stared at me with hatred. Traitor, I kept my eyes on the floor, forcing a note of impatience into my voice. Say whatever you want. Traitor, he shouted, still gripping my shoulder, staring at my face as if searching for any hint of regret. I could only snap impatiently. You're so annoying. I don't want to be your friend and I don't want to be your brother. You get on my nerves. Soothing you is exhausting every single time. Just leave me alone. A look of raw hurt I had never seen before crossed Orion's face. I didn't dare look at him, afraid I would waver. Did you hear that, pal? Leo chimed in at the perfect moment. I'm a better partner for him than you are. His answer was a vibro knife swinging down without hesitation. If I hadn't anticipated Orion's reaction and pushed Leo in time, that knife would be embedded in his shoulder right now. As the standoff reached its peak, a clear female voice cut through the tension. Senior Vance, are you in need of a new partner? The noble and beautiful Imperial Princess glided into the training room, a butterfly spirit animal fluttering between Orion and me. The high-ranking princess, an SSS rank guide, extended an invitation to him. Would you be willing to team up with me for the Inter-Academy Championship? It was a classic scene, straight out of an overpowered protagonist story. Orion shot me one last look. Seeing no reaction from me, he gave a cold laugh and finally tore his gaze away. Of course, I would. Wonderful, let's go register right now. The competition starts in 2 weeks. We need to hurry up and start training, the princess said, clapping her hands together. Fine, Orion said, letting go of me. He turned and walked out of the training room. After a few steps, he stopped and barked at his black dragon spirit animal. What are you waiting for? Keep up. The black dragon was coiled on the floor, encircling the lion cat as if it were a precious treasure, carefully hidden beneath its wings. Upon hearing Orion's call, it looked at him but remained stubbornly in place. I walked over, and under its wounded gaze, I gently lifted its wing and scooped the white cat back into my arms. The black dragon looked at me with utter dejection. I patted its wing and whispered, "Go on." The dragon drooped and flew listlessly back to Orion's side. Orion's face was grim. At the doorway, he turned back, shot me a cold snort, and said, "I'm not letting you get away with this, 3. You're in love with him, aren't you?" Leo asked suddenly, after Orion's back had disappeared from view. I turned to him, surprised. After a long hesitation, I said, "Is it that obvious?" Leo didn't answer, asking instead, "If you love him, why did you agree to dissolve the bond?" From what I saw, he didn't seem to want to. As my newly bonded sentinel, Leo was naturally curious why I would let go of an SSS rank sentinel and agree to unbond so easily. He had asked me before we bonded. I told him about the endless whispers and ridicule from students and instructors, about the disdainful looks and contemptuous sighs from Orion's family members. But I never told anyone the main reason. It wasn't their scorn and cold shoulders that made me decide to leave. It was because I had seen a future where he would fail because of me. After he lost the championship, he was flooded with an endless torrent of mockery and abuse. He was a rare SSS rank, the heir the marshal was pouring all his resources into, but he had failed. A fall from a great height is always more painful. Besides, his strength and unyielding nature, while earning him admiration and worship, also inevitably attracted resentment and jealousy. In the year following his defeat, he endured constant suppression and a deluge of insults. I knew he didn't care about the jeers of the weak, but I did. He should have won. If it weren't for him having to accommodate me, if I hadn't held him back, and if he didn't give up on me, he would fail again and again. All that talk about not wanting to end up like that, about not wanting to make a pathetic exit, it was all a lie. I just didn't want to be the dead weight holding Orion back. I didn't want him to suffer all those things he never should have had to, all because of me. Leo was still waiting for my answer. I said lightly, "The gap between a B rank and an SSS rank is just too big. I can't keep up with him. It's not like there are no other options," Leo said, raising an eyebrow. "You two could just deep bond. Normally, for a guide to soothe a sentinel, they need to use their psionic energy to break through the sentinel's subconscious mental defenses. Breaching the defenses of a sentinel of the same or lower rank isn't difficult for a guide. When facing a higher-ranked sentinel or seeking a better soothing effect, partnered sentinels and guides form a shallow link through holding hands or hugging. If the rank difference is too great and they are unwilling to switch partners, the only way is a deep bond. A deep bond requires not just complete physical and mental union, but also a total merging of their mental landscapes. The sentinel's mental landscape no longer puts up defenses against the guide, and the guide can even freely command the sentinel's psionic energy. It's something usually only done between partners with a very deep emotional connection. I looked at Leo and shook my head. "He's not," Leo looked shocked. After a long moment, he managed to choke out, "Are you serious?" "I tested it," I said. I knew why he was shocked. Orion had no aversion to holding my hand or hugging me. In fact, he was the one slinging his arm around my shoulders more often than not. The guy who always felt anything other than fighting and training was a waste of time, would stand in line for hours to buy a limited edition dessert just because I mentioned it offhand. Every time he went on an off-world mission, he would subconsciously look for gifts he thought I would like and bring them back for me. He, who couldn't even notice his own illnesses or injuries, could spot my carefully hidden sadness in a single glance. He, who never considered others' feelings, would clumsily try to cheer me up, but he did all that simply because he saw me as his best friend, his closest brother. That's just how these dense Jock overlords are. Leo leaned in a little closer, looking at me with curiosity. He wanted to know how I had tested Orion and why I had come to that conclusion. I had no intention of discussing my history with Orion with anyone else. I directed my lion cat to jump down next to his leopard and said seriously, "Let's practice." "All right," Leo said, wisely dropping the subject. He shrugged. "Orion said he won't let you get away with this. I hear he's the type to hold a grudge. Do you think he'll retaliate? We're not going to get cornered by him the second we enter the championship, are we? He just had to be a jinx." I stared at Orion and the Imperial Princess, who had just been teleported into the arena opposite us, and shot a look at Leo beside me. "He's staring at you. You're really not going to look back." Leo leaned in, whispering in my ear. I didn't reply, nor did I look up. I began linking with Leo's mental landscape, boosting his strength, speed, and constitution, lowering his pain sensitivity, and optimizing his senses for the arena environment, making myself look very busy. "Ah, the classic tragedy of being gay for a straight guy," Leo sighed theatrically. "Did you know that after your fight, the amount of fan content on the forums featuring you two in forced and imprisonment scenarios skyrocketed?" I turned and gave him a withering look. "What's your point?" "Just testing if he'd actually do it," Leo grinned, slinging an arm over my shoulder under Orion's murderous glare. Hiss, a collective gasp went through the spectators in the stands. In unison, everyone looked down and started frantically typing on their terminals. "For damn, talk about a bold move. How does he have the guts? I thought that guy's new Sentinel was only a B rank. Does he have a death wish?" I thought Orion's, my wife is dead expression, was as dark as it could get. To be precise, not dead, just stolen. How is this any different from being cheated on right in front of him? The goal of the competition was to eliminate contaminated beasts to earn points. A standoff here was pointless. I elbowed Leo, muttered childish, and turned to leave. The next second, Orion grabbed my wrist. Whoa, LMAO, Orion's still here making empty threats. Does he even believe what he's saying? I'll know whether it's love or hate. So after making threats, he just watches him leave instead of drawing his weapon, and that guy just walked away. He's already out of sight. Why is he still staring? Whoa, Orion just smiled. I've got goosebumps. Is that guy really not going to try and smooth things over? Orion looks like he's on the verge of turning into a villain. I hurried through the jungle, my head down. Orion didn't follow after I shook him off. After all, he was here to win the championship, not to get tangled up with me. I spread out my psionic senses, searching for beasts that Leo could handle. One of Leo's graduation requirements was to kill 10 beasts of his own rank in the championship. The requirement wasn't too harsh. We had met the quota by the time the sun began to set on the first day. I sat on a tree branch to rest and casually opened the competition rankings. Without me holding him back, Orion had quickly shot to first place. His score just kept climbing, leaving the person in second place far behind in the dust. I stared at the leaderboard, not sure if I felt more joy or sorrow. I didn't even know if, at that moment, I wanted him to win and claim the glory and praise that belonged to him, or if I hoped he wouldn't win, to prove that his failure in the story wasn't actually because of me. Until the very end, Orion's rank didn't change at all, as if mocking the part of me that had hoped for the faint possibility that it wasn't my presence that had doomed him, that he didn't have to unbond with me to win. The moment the competition ended, I finally lost all hope. 5 Orion found me the day after the competition ended. "I'm the champion," he said, blocking my path with his arms crossed. I looked up calmly. "Congratulations." Orion's face soured, the black dragon behind him snorting impatiently. And, I thought for a moment, then recited a line straight out of the overpowered protagonist's revenge playbook. "I guess I was blind not to see your greatness. It's too late for regrets now. I'll get out of the central star sector and never appear before you again." Orion was clearly infuriated. He stalked a few paces away in a rage, then quickly came back, saying through gritted teeth, "I never said it was too late for regrets." "Oh," I replied slowly, my gaze landing on his face. I looked him dead in the eye. "I don't regret it. OMG, you guys have no idea what I just witnessed. This man has no heart. This man has no heart." Hidden cam video. Orion confrontation hidden cam video. Orion storms off and comes back hidden cam video. "I don't regret it, I give up. I truly give up." I'd give that move an 8.6 because Orion just got 1.4D. I thought that guy unbonded with his new partner after the competition so he could go back to Orion. What is he even doing? I don't get it at all. You guys don't know, that guy submitted an application to switch from an exclusive guide to a professional freelance guide. He's opening up appointment requests starting tomorrow. So this is the good life Orion had before. Sob, I got an appointment too. His soothing is so fast and effective. It's bliss. I'm still feeling a little dizzy. Why didn't he break up with Orion sooner? It was a friendship breakup. Use the right term. Why did I ever badmouth him? I deserve to die. Can't they add more appointment slots? I've been trying to get one for a week with no luck. Damn it, why is Orion trying to book a slot too? Doesn't he have an exclusive guide? When Orion cornered me on the street again, I rubbed my temples in exasperation. You have your own exclusive guide. Stop taking up appointment slots here every day. Exclusive guide, Orion sneered, glaring at me. Do I? I looked past him at the Imperial Princess, casually passing by, and at Leo, who had already taken up a prime spot to watch the drama unfold. My headache intensified. Come with me, I said, pulling Orion back to my new apartment, away from the prying eyes of Leo and the princess. God knows, for the past 2 days, Leo had already started lecturing the princess on the concepts of angry sex and the abandoned puppy effect. Why won't you bond with the princess? I asked, closing the door and leaning against it with my arms crossed. If I don't want to, I don't want to. What right do you have to tell me what to do? Orion snorted, his attitude atrocious. I looked at him seriously. Your mental landscape is a mess. If you don't get soothed soon, a psionic black hole will swallow your sanity. You'll start attacking everything indiscriminately. Stop being so stubborn. That's my own business, Orion said coldly. I don't need a stranger who isn't even my friend worrying about me. I felt a sharp tug in my chest, and my eyes began to sting. I turned my face away and closed my eyes. You know I can't break through your mental barrier anymore. Stop coming to find me. That's not what you said before. You said you found a way. You promised you wouldn't leave. Why? Why did everything change in just one day? Orion's eyes were red as he glared at me, his icy exterior cracking to reveal a deep well of hurt and anguish. Because after that day, I received the Academy's request. I became aware of the plot. I saw our future. Can you accept a deep bond with me? I asked coldly. What? I suddenly reached out and shoved him hard against the wall, then pinned him by the neck. Orion followed my momentum and looked down, still confused. Before he could process what was happening, I leaned up and kissed him. Our lips met, our tongues touched. Amidst the frantic pounding of my heart, the impenetrable mental barrier was pried open. A gentle rain began to fall in his dark, terrifying, and chaotic mental landscape, washing away days of irritation, pain, anxiety, and darkness. But it wasn't enough, not nearly enough. The rain only dampened the outermost layer. Vast stretches untouched by the drizzle were screaming, craving more. Orion's hands instinctively gripped my waist, but I thought he was resisting. With restraint, I broke the mental link and took a step back. No, Orion almost reflexively tried to pull me back. I heard his refusal, and a tearing pain ripped through my chest. I took a moment to compose myself, then drew a deep breath and asked him, "How did that feel?" Orion stood frozen, his gaze fixed on my lips, which were now red and swollen from the kiss. This is the only way. Holding hands, hugging, kissing, and I paused but forced myself to continue, sleeping with me, having sex, making love, whatever you want to call it. Only through a deep bond can I regain control of your mental landscape. Can you accept that? As I asked the question, I was already prepared for Orion to completely lose it and for us to become strangers from that moment on. He despised same-sex relationships. I had learned that through repeated probing. Whether it was in books or movies, or even same-sex couples he saw in real life, no matter how deep their love or how moving their story, whenever I asked him about it, he expressed his disgust without reservation. I had even hypothetically asked him what he would do if I were also into men. His reaction was to frown and tell me it was absolutely not okay. For the next 2 weeks, he suspiciously scanned every man who came near me, his anxiety only fading after I repeatedly assured him I was just joking. It wasn't his fault. When he was very young, he was adopted by a male couple. It was a story filled with deceit, lies, infidelity, decay, violence, and death. One of them even tried to make a move on him as a child. Thankfully, he realized what was happening and ran away. I waited quietly for Orion's answer, like waiting for a blade that was destined to fall. Orion looked like he'd been struck dumb, staring at me blankly for a long time without moving. I sighed, pushed him out of the room, and said softly, "Don't show up here again." 6. Why not accept the Imperial Princess, another SSS rank? It was clearly the best choice, wasn't it? Orion lay in bed, his eyes wide open. That sighing plea, "Don't show up here again," echoed in his ears. Can I really live a life without Stellan? Just the thought of it sent an involuntary shiver down his spine, a deep bond. Could I be lovers with Stellan? Lovers, such an unstable relationship. No, we can't be lovers, we're brothers, best friends. That's something that can't be easily changed. It's the safest. I don't need a guide. It doesn't matter if Stellan broke our bond. It doesn't matter if he can't break through my mental barrier to soothe me. The next moment, the headache that had been briefly calmed by Stellan's soothing returned with a vengeance. It's fine. I can handle it. I can handle it. Ah, a terrifying psionic rampage. What's going on? What happened? I heard Orion's mental landscape has a black hole in it. How? Didn't he bond with the Imperial Princess? The Academy said Orion's spirit animal is indiscriminately rejecting all other guides. Even the Imperial Princess can't bond with him. Then what's going to happen? Where's that guy? Where is he? Someone needs to save the day. What can a B rank do? The Academy just sent a notification to that guy. A notification won't do any good. A rampage is too dangerous. Who would go near that unless they have a death wish? Ah, I see that guy near the rampage zone. Holy crap. That guy just ran in. Isn't this the part where you're indiscriminately knocking out S ranks and making them vomit blood? How come that guy is completely unharmed? Even when you've lost your mind, you can't bring yourself to hurt him. He's so far gone for him. 2 days. The rampage has finally stopped. The Academy just received a report from that guy. He said he's cleaned up the entire mental landscape. Speaking of which, I just found out what the Academy sent to that guy. What was it? He keeps calling your name. Hiss. If I were that guy, I'd have to go. So they're back together, right? Let's congratulate the reunited couple. Oh, actually no. That guy said he's going to continue as a freelance guide and has no plans to re-bond with Orion. 7. After the deep bond with Orion, I could see his past and feel his fears. Orion also saw the plot that I had seen. I wouldn't do that, Orion said with a frown after some serious thought. If I sent you to a barren planet, it must have been because I was facing a crisis I wasn't sure I could handle, and that was the safest place for you. If I was still alive after it was all over, I would definitely go to that planet to find you. What Orion didn't say was that he secretly suspected his motive for imprisoning me on a barren planet might have been to keep me by his side forever, never allowing me to leave. Are you mad at me because of this? Orion asked, watching me carefully. Not really, but since Orion was able to win the championship, it proved that the plot could be changed. I asked him, do you still think of me as your friend? Orion nodded, a little hesitantly. I rolled my eyes and pointed to the dense pattern of bite marks on my neck. Friends don't deep bond. Orion's face belatedly flushed red. He frantically looked away, staring at the ceiling, the floor, anywhere but at me. Forget it, I sighed, feeling a little weary. Just pretend nothing happened. I stood up to leave, but Orion quickly grabbed my hand. He stammered, marriage, we can get married, thinking that far ahead. This time it was my turn to refuse him. Orion's grip on my hand tightened, and he looked at me with something close to panic. Let's wait until the story is over, I said. If our feelings haven't changed after everything is said and done, we'll have a new beginning. 8. A post on the Star Net from several years later. Title, My partner abandoned me because I'm insecure. Is he leaving me for good? I'm going to lock him up. I don't want him to leave me. 1 minute later. He came back, turns out he was just getting groceries. Never mind, the end.